It started with a single wrong number, a call I was never meant to answer. If I had ignored it, if I had silenced my phone that night, maybe nothing would have changed. But I did answer, half asleep, confused, with no idea that on the other end of the line was the voice that would change everything I thought I knew about love, destiny, and connection. The call came on a Tuesday night at exactly 11:47 p.m. I remember because I was lying awake in bed, scrolling through messages I wasn't even reading, just drowning in my own restless thoughts. My phone buzzed, lighting up with an unknown number. My first instinct was to ignore it, probably a telemarketer or some drunk dial. But something inside me whispered, pick it up. Hello. My voice cracked slightly, dry from hours of silence. There was a pause, and then a girl's voice, shaky but soft, broke through the static. You picked up. I frowned. Oh yeah? Who's this? Another pause. Then, almost like a confession, I didn't think you'd answer. I didn't know who else to call. I could tell she had been crying. Her voice carried that raw, heavy tone people have when they've been holding back tears for too long. But what struck me most wasn't the sadness. It was the way she spoke like I was supposed to know her. I think you've got the wrong number, I said carefully. She let out a broken laugh, the kind that isn't happy at all. Figures. Even fate doesn't care anymore. Something in me refused to hang up. Most people would have ended the call right there. But there was something haunting about her voice, like a song I didn't know but couldn't stop listening to. So instead, I asked, do you want to talk? Silence. Then, the faintest whisper, yes. And so it began. That night, we spoke for hours. She never told me her name, and I didn't tell her mine. It wasn't necessary. Somehow, the absence of names made the connection even deeper, like we weren't bound by who we were in the world, only by what we were in that moment. She talked about feeling invisible, about how the world seemed to move on without her. I listened. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't thinking about myself. I was thinking about her. When the call ended, just as the sky was turning pale with morning light, I felt an ache I couldn't explain. I didn't even know this girl, but I wanted to hear her voice again. The next night, the phone rang at almost the same time. You answered again, she said softly, almost surprised. Of course, I replied. I was waiting. From then on, it became a ritual. Night after night, the phone would ring, and I would answer. We talked about everything and nothing. Dreams, fears, childhood memories, the meaning of happiness. She had this laugh that was rare but unforgettable, like sunlight breaking through rain clouds. She told stories that painted pictures in my mind, and though I had never seen her face, I began to feel like I knew her better than anyone else in my life. That IT was strange, falling for a voice, for words whispered in the dark. But I couldn't deny it. With every call, I sank deeper. And yet, there were boundaries. She never told me her name, never gave me clues about where she lived. I didn't push. Part of me liked the mystery, the purity of it, but part of me longed to meet her, to see if the reality could ever match the magic of her voice. Then, one night, I asked the question I had been afraid to ask. Why did you call me that first night? She went quiet. For a long time, I thought she might hang up. Finally, she whispered, because I thought I was calling someone else. Someone who used to mean everything to me. But I guess, the universe wanted me to find you instead. Her words stayed with me long after the call ended. The universe wanted me to find you instead. But then, one night, the call stopped. At first, I thought maybe she was busy. Maybe something came up. But days passed, then weeks, with no call. I tried dialing back the number, but it always went to voicemail. I left messages, just in case, but she never replied. The silence was unbearable. It was like losing something I never officially had. My days felt emptier. Nights stretched endlessly, haunted by the memory of a voice I couldn't forget. Months passed, and I tried to move on. Tried to convince myself it had just been a strange chapter in my life, a fleeting connection destined to end. But every time my phone buzzed, my heart still raced with hope. Then, almost a year later, fate struck again. I was in a crowded bookstore on a rainy afternoon, flipping through old paperbacks, when I heard it, the laugh. That rare, unforgettable laugh. I froze. My heart slammed against my ribs as I turned toward the sound. And there she was. She stood by the window, holding a book to her chest, her hair slightly damp from the rain. She looked nothing like I had imagined, and yet somehow, exactly like I knew she would. Her presence was both strange and familiar, like a dream I had walked into. I didn't even realize I was moving until I was standing right in front of her. She looked up, and for a moment, her eyes widened in recognition. It's you, she whispered. I swallowed hard. You knew? She nodded slowly. I always knew. From the first night, I knew I had called the wrong number. But then I realized, maybe it wasn't wrong at all. I wanted to say so many things, but all that came out was, why did you stop calling? Her gaze dropped to the floor. Because I was scared. Scared of turning something beautiful into something ordinary. Scared that if you saw me, the magic would end. I stepped closer, my voice trembling, but certain. The magic didn't end. It just got stronger. Her eyes met mine then, shining with tears. And in that crowded bookstore, surrounded by strangers and rain, we finally closed the distance that had once only been bridged by a phone call. It's been years since that day, but I still think about how it all started. A single wrong number, a voice in the night, a connection that shouldn't have happened but did. People talk about destiny like it's some grand plan, but maybe destiny is just the courage to pick up when the universe calls. And sometimes, the wrong number is the beginning of the right story.